In today's video, we're going to talk about product budget and its pricing. Here is what we're going to cover: how to price your product, how we can calculate monthly revenues. I'll give you tips on how to open or get your competitive edge, and I will show you how to budget using a calculator or budgeting calculator. About our pricing and monthly revenues, we need to find a cost price, so we need to decide what product we are buying. Then we're going to talk about our target selling price. Basically, we need to figure out what is going to be the best price for our product for us to sell. And then we're going to talk about potential monthly revenues. For this case, I am talking about water bottle. It's pretty, women, and all these kind of things. So in this case, our price is $5.65. So we're going to pay to a manufacturer a $5.65 per unit. So, and then we need to decide how much we're going to purchase. So let's say we are going to buy 100 pieces, for example. So that means we're going to multiply this price on 100, and then we're going to make, that's how we're going to calculate our cost. So this is how much we need to invest before we can sell anything. So we are going to invest $565. That's what we need to get in our account. Then we need to figure out our selling price. So the selling price is going to be your price that you're going to pay to the manufacturer. And also, very, very important is you need to aim for a minimum profit margin of 3.5 or 4x, right? So in this case, we're going to think this way. Okay, so if our profit margin should be no less than 3.5 or 4x, then we're going to multiply our buying price. So 565, we're going to multiply by 4, because that's the best in this situation. We want to get as much profit as we can. So this will give us the actual selling price, which going to make profit for us. So that would make this bottle a best or perfect minimum price for us at $22.60. Then we're going to think about a monthly revenues. So in this case, we're going to do a product selling price, which in our case now we know is going to be $22.60, and we're going to multiply this by 100, because this is how much we actually bought. So as you can see here, we bought 100 pieces, and our monthly revenue in this case going to be $2,260. So this is a quick calculation of what you need to do or what is needed. Now let's talk about our calculating product price and profit margin. So we have established the product cost for us is $5.65. Our selling price is, as we have discussed, $22.60, because we have multiplied our product with 4x. That means our gross profit would be our selling price minus a price that we paid for. and it would make us so it would leave us with $16.95. So this is our gross profit. And how to calculate our profit margins is we're going to take our gross profit, which is $16.95, and we're going to divide it with our selling price, which is $22.60, and it would give us 75%. Now we're going to multiply our 0.75 with 100, and our profit margin is 75%. As a pricing hack, I would always say you need to try and offer a single product. Reason being why? You can buy more and you can sell more. Also, keep your variations to a minimum. I mean, like the colors. As you can see in this example, right? We have so many different options. And for your customer, it's actually quite difficult to choose what they want, and you need to keep more stock inventory, and that means as a startup, go for 2, 3 max. So it's easier for you to see the niche, to see the overall market, and then when you know what is selling, you, for example, you buy silver, gold, sorry, where it is. So you, for example, you're buying silver, gold, and purple, and at some case nobody wants to buy gold. Okay, so then you can either discontinue or reduce price, but make sure you are getting your investment. So never go less for what you have paid. For example, if you paid $5.65 at this case, so make sure you don't go lower than that exact price. So you need to get your money back. In this case, you can replace the ones that you didn't sell with something you think would be more interested for your customers. Also, it's great to hear reviews from your customers, but that's going to be something we're going to cover later. So, and like I said previously, you can go either 22.60 or you can round it up to 23. So it gives less hassle for you. You can easily calculate your incomes or how much sales it was. So rounded prices or rounded numbers are always better. Also, the good thing I think in this case is there is a benefit of selling expensive products. Reason being why? First of all, you need less customer service. People who are purchasing expensive products, they know what they're buying, they can afford it, and they mainly are the ones who have no issues. For example, you won't see a customer who buys a Gucci bag having a problem with either replacing it. For example, you the customer bought, for example, a black, but they wanted white. So it would be straightforward transaction. They would go to the customer service. They will say, okay, I wanted this, but I purchased this. I wanted white, but I purchased black. Can we please exchange? When you go and talk with a customer who purchases something, I don't know, for $50, for example, I don't know how. Let's say a pair of shoes, right? Just imagine. They would have so many issues. I know from my experience that's how people do. The less they pay, the more questions and more issues they have. Also, with more expensive products, you will have less product like orders to proceed. Yes, it's a bad thing, but it's a good thing because you are getting more return on your investment, right? To make $1,000, for example, again, a Gucci bag, you need to sell one, but to sell a bottles that would cover $1,000. So you can imagine how many you need, at least 100, right? So there is a difference. And also with more expensive products, it's much easier to buy traffic because in this case you are targeting directly to those who would be interested in buying something more expensive. Now, like I said before, we're going to talk about getting your competitive edge. Let's say, so what is competitive edge? Like how to, let's say, activate it or make sure you are more active. So first you need to do is you need to cut your production costs. So I would suggest go for 3PL companies, which is they're going to store your inventory, they're going to fulfill your orders, they're going to dispatch them. So you are eliminating a warehouse cost. You don't need to look for a space. You are eliminating a packaging, so envelopes, labels, a person who is going to do it for you. Also, a time for you to drop it to the couriers or a post office, and then all this is going to be off your list. Also, what is a great thing to do is bundling a low profit margin items with a high profit margins, right? Again, let's say, imagine Gucci is selling a bag and they are adding this as a, not an upsell, but as a bonus. What they're going to do, they can just blend the price for this product in the bag cost. So for example, instead of paying for a single bag $700, they're going to pay $750, but they will get a bottle. But since it's a big brand, they'll be like, yes, that's something I'm interested, because that is a prestige, and same time customer won't know what costed you what. And also, it's good to focus on selling expensive items, but this would come in a later days. There is always a starting point. So at this point, you need to start with something small that's going to ask for less investment from you, but it's going to flip it quicker and it's going to give you profit quicker, because that's the main thing we are looking for. Also, there is something I would like to talk about, and that would be all known disclaimers. So, not always the more money you invest, the higher returns you will potentially earn. No, there is always additional costs for something. You projected or investment of 1,000, for example, but then you have higher shipping costs from your suppliers. Maybe you will have more returns from your customers who didn't like the product or who weren't happy with what they purchased. So it's not always the case. Then the more units you buy, the more units you can sell and you'll make more money. Definitely not. At the beginning, of course, you will need to look at the manufacturer's minimum requirement order. Some of them have 100, some of them have 500, some of them have 5,000 minimum orders. So you need to look what's best for you, because you don't want to be stuck with inventory that you can't actually sell. That means you're going to have your money sitting in the corner of the warehouse and you won't be getting it back. So in this case, like I said, you need to think what you can sell. For example, get something smaller, see how it goes, a batch of 100, a batch of 200, see how quickly you can sell. Or if you are selling your first order, like the first batch of 100 pieces, like in a month, you know that it's half of it is sold, then all you can do is replace, like in our case, bottles, for example. The silvers are selling quicker, then you can replace, add more inventory of this color, and so on and so on. Then the higher price items you sell, the higher profit margins. Not always, because higher price means you bought it for more expensive. So basically, in if you buy something, right, and you would need to adjust the prices with your profit margins, right? So that means if you bought something for 100 from a manufacturer and you want to get a 4x profit margin on this item, that means this going to cost to your customer 400. Not everyone can spoil a $400 out of nowhere. So that's not always the case. If you are an established brand, then yes. But as a beginner, no, it won't be the case. Also, investing a large sum of money can result in higher returns, but it also comes with more risks. So it's a good idea to start with one product and a smaller amount of money. I'm going to try and cut everything in smaller pieces. I'm going to show what I went through or explain how I went through building a brand from scratch with investors, how I dealt with the customers, how I dealt with the manufacturers, and things like that. Yes, it's going to be a long way, but we're here together to learn and see. Maybe we can share our experiences. So, yeah, I will see you in the next one.